Good morning, Brain. How you doing this morning? Nice to see you here on the stream. It's Thursday. How you doing, buddy? Good to be back. Let's get some chat going on this morning. Fancy. Morning, Benson. How you doing, friend? What's good this morning, folks? Nice to see you here this morning, Benson. Dual Brain Thursday edition. It's Tuesday, February 8th here this morning on the stream. We're getting ready to talk some Magic cards here with you folks. Take a look at the prices of some new and exciting cards and a little bit of an article here for you folks this morning. We're going to take our time. It's going to be a good stream here this morning. How many magicians does it take to play Magic? Just one will do the trick. And if you're tuning in here this morning with me, the joke's on me here this morning, Thursday. On the morning stream. Nice to have everybody here. We had a great show yesterday. I really want to thank everybody who tuned in. I had some folks, some long-lost friends, tune in from out of town. It was really nice to catch up with you folks. If I see you again on the stream, it'll be really appreciated. So thanks again for tuning in, all you beautiful and amazing people who love this game as much as we do. Let me ask you this simple question. Do you like tracking the prices of Magic cards? Is there enough information out there that you can find to navigate your way in this world, in this market, in this crazy mixed up game that is Magic the Gathering? Or is there just too much information? Let me do it for you here on the morning show when we talk prices, talk shop, and we talk stocks. It's the working man for the working man, Bro D, Alfonso, giving you something to talk about here this morning on MTG Talks and Stocks here. The early edition. Did you hear the one about the magician who did magic using chocolate bars? He had a lot of Twix up his sleeve. All right. Fine, Brody. Keep it classic here this morning. A few puns here for you folks. Let's do some puns here this morning. All right, let's get warmed up a little bit, the way we like to do it. We'll take a look at some AI-generated Magic cards here this morning. And if you haven't tuned in once before, we'll go over the rules for you folks in a minute. If the card is playable any way whatsoever, even if it's a little bit overcosted, we're going to give it a pass. We'll hear this sound. The sound of the dinger, if you know what I mean. But if the card has got any gibberish on it whatsoever, maybe it's just non-functional, doesn't work, it's not a Magic card, it's missing something. Perhaps it's just garbagely written. It's got a bunch of jibbly, jabbly, goggly gook on it. We'll fail it right now. You'll hear this sound. That's the sound of the buzzing, cousin. All right, let's head over to Robo Rosewater now. Just give me a minute to get here warmed up with you folks this morning. We'll get things moving here. Got some magic cards here to look for. Oh, Brody's so small. Brody, he's so small you couldn't see it at all. There's a man from Boston in the stream. A magic man from Boston who hung out on the morning show. His name's Michael Superbacker. It's nice to see you. And we got you in the chat here this morning. Let's take a look at some chats here. Prowling Hider Out. This is hidering out. Let's hide out together. Prowling hired out. I'm hired out. Oh my God, you started. I got sucked into the vortex of woke BS videos. I need some folks talking with some common sense here. Ah, yes. something we may be able to offer you folks this morning. You got stuck in the vortex here. I'm very sorry to hear that. It can happen. It can happen to you. It definitely can. Let's see if we can get let's see if we can get this going here. The chat. Where are we here now? Oh, we'll take a look at this one. Howdy, folks. All right, now we're chatting. Cool. All right. Hider wrote, oh no, some gibberish. Oh no, some gibberish, right? All right, I feel better already. Nice to have you. What time are you here at? Sideshow on Acid? What time is it where you're at? Well, this is the morning show. Sideshow on Acid. You know, I could go for some pizza. I had some pizza last night at the Soul Suite. It was good. We played Magic Cards. It's 5:56 a.m. It's early here, but never too early to discuss Magic Cards and the prices with you, Mr. Sideshow. I'm glad you tuned in. It's nice to see you here. What time is it? What time is it, Mr. Bro? It's time for the morning show. Haha, there he is. What up, T-Dog? Travis, how's it going? Bob, Michael Superbacker. We got folks in the chat. It's nice to see you. I'm glad you're here. All right, let's take a look at some of these magic cards that are generated by the AI, right? AI, they can get you. Be careful with that AI. Prowling Hider Out. Let's we got the chat box moving here this morning. Okay, we're doing okay. We're doing good. We're doing not too bad. This is a red elemental horror. Cost a red and 1 for this sucker. Prowling Hider Out elemental horror 1/1. The otherworldly forged greet and consume dice on any sheath he may put his shortcuts hated summon poilers. That's some flavor text if I ever seen it. Little flavor for you folks here this morning. Nice to see you. All right. What are we going to do with this one? Let's see. We're going to give a pass or a fail. It's 7:56 a.m. here where Michael Superbacker is. Yo. As the audience snickers. It is 5 where I'm from. And I'm just surprised that there's a stream this early every morning on the morning show. Weekdays. 5 days a week. You can catch me here. Before I get out and do some working stuff. As a working man for the working man, I have to make time early in the morning to do my favorite thing is to talk shop and talk magic cards with you folks. And I'm glad you're here, Sideshow. It's nice to see you. All right. One day. All right, what are we going to do with this card here? Bob, what do you think? The one of your hands perpetually gains haste until end of turn. All right. This is funny. One of your hands perpetually gains haste until end of turn. This is kind of not PG, right? Good morning, folks. I hope your hands have haste this morning. Good to know. All right. I don't think this makes too much sense, but nevertheless, let's get it out of here. I think we can do better. I think we can do better than that. All right. Well, fair OP, underpower, non-functional. It's non-functional. Ce ne fonctionne pas. For all you French viewers tuning in from Canada, all the way up here in Canada, Brody Alfonso's talking shop. Look at the art on this one. There's a card. Already called it gibberish. It's about as bad as those videos I watched this morning. Perhaps the the wokeness. Well, you see, the only kind of woke we get here on this morning show is about at 5 a.m. when we wake up and we get things going. We get the world moving and we do what we do. We move this economy. We get out there and do what we can to do our part in the world. We're not sleeping in. Some of those folks are sleeping in. I like this art, right? I mean, if we should pass it on art alone, I would. I think this is just fine. Let's see, 0 mana 4/4s. Holy moly! Some 0 mana 4/4s. I know that's a decent art, eh? OP. Do you think it's too powerful, Bob? All right, let's read it. For 0 mana, I like some 0 mana 4/4s in my life. Oh, Avacyn Lady Maniac. She's a maniac in your deck. She's a 4/4, costs 0 mana. Oh, what the heck? Whenever Avacyn attacks, you may pay 1. When you do, destroy all other creatures. When she attacks, you pay 1, and it just wipes the board. It's an insect archer, legendary. And then whenever an enchantment you control is put into a graveyard from the battlefield, put an indestructible counter on each of up to X target creatures you control. An indestructible counter. So like whenever she attacks, you pay 1 and she destroys everything else, and then an enchantment comes into the board, and then you get to pay 1 and put an indestructible counter on your stuff so that like she don't blow your stuff up. She don't touch that. She's not an angel. No, she's an insect. I mean, it functions. Gorgeous, eh? Take me home tonight. I don't want to have us in there till we see the light. This works. I have to pass it based on principle, art, functionality alone. Yes, it is way overpowered, Bob, but it is super OP, right? I can't not give this. Woo. All right, I'm a fan of this one. I know it's so powerful, super OP, but it works, right? I don't mind. All right, let's give it a pass. Let's see what else we got in store here. Oh, get out of here. Something popped up there. All right, what about this? Is a tire toe. Don't stub your toe. This one's tired and you're ready to go. Are you a tire tower? Perhaps. Let's see this one. This one's a saga. Baba La Saga. Baba Yaga, the Baba La Saga here this morning. This one here, the tire toe. Tie your toes together with this one. 1 red and 2 for the saga. Enchant. It's red. We're going to pass this one. Bob's giving it a pass. Bob Likey. 3 modes. Bob's quick. He's cracking the whip this morning. All right. The one on the saga until your next turn, you may cast spells from your graveyard. That seems fine, giving stuff with flashback, right? We need this. This is almost like a mini. What do we call that card? It's red. It already does that. Pass in Flames. No. What's the other one? The 2 mana one. Underworld Breach. Like a mini Underworld Breach. Is that right? Except you get to cast spells from your graveyard for 2 turns. And then for the third one, return all creature cards from your graveyard to your hand. Not bad. This thing's okay. I'm with Bob on this one, unless anybody else objectifies. This thing's pass. Not bad. Is it OP? For 3 mana, you get to play from the graveyard for 2 turns. That seems okay. I guess in this day and age, with due to power creep and due to cutbacks and economics and all that other stuff, this may be just fine. Let's see what the community rating is on this sucker. Fair. I'm gonna give. Should we say it's fair? Let's give it a fair, Bob. Oh, most of the world thinks it's OP. There's only 12% of us that think this is fair. Well, so what? Let's call it fair and square here this morning. And we got one more. This is where we left off yesterday. These are some actually really good ones. I like the Avison. I really like it. Take me some Avison. We looked at this one yesterday. The Fleshmeal de Witchbreaker Dinosaur Illusion. This one cost you a blue and 3 for a dinosaur. Why was the dinosaur so upset? Because he was a dinosaur puss. This one's a 0-mana sorcery. Put 4/1/1 counters on a creature and then destroy that creature. We looked at this sucker yesterday. Just a bit of a recap. Let's get it out of here. No way, no how. But let's just feast your eyes on this amazing card. Let's back up a couple here. This one, Avison, the Lady Maniac. All right, all you maniacs. Beautiful and amazing Magic the Gathering maniacs. Thank you for joining me here and the dual brainiacs who are tuning in on the show here this morning. Let's go. It's Brody Alfonso talking Magic cards, and I'm all warmed up here, and I got something to say. Do you like tracking the prices of Magic cards? Is there enough information out there for you folks to get your hands on, or is there just too much all darn information? Let me do it for you here on the morning show, 5 a.m. Well, it's just after 6 here. So we're just getting warmed up a little bit late on the great stream here this morning. I asked my Magic 8-Ball which email client to use, and it told me Outlook is not so good. All right, I got an article for you folks here this morning. Top picks for murders at Karlov Manor by Matt Grzelczyk. Now, let me put something out on the tweet here this morning for Matt. Stonking and tonking here this morning. You may catch me on Twitter, but Matt Grzelczyk is one of my favorite writers from the stock desk. The man who puts pen to paper. I guess people don't put pen to paper anymore. Maybe he does, and then transposes it. But a man who puts pen to paper on Magic the Gathering minutia and articles, bringing us something to think about here this morning by way of stock desk. I want to give a special thanks to Matt for writing this one. I'm going to share it with you folks here today. We're talking about the top picks of murders at Karlov Manor. Now, yesterday, we were already talking about the top selling cards from the new set. That is the top three. The Forensic Gadgeteer, that's the blue one that lets you get a rebate on your artifact activations. That one, top three. The second one is the Crime Novelist. This thing breaks treasures wide open, and anybody playing Dockside Extortionist might consider playing the Crime Novelist. And then another one, Insidious Roots. Okay, those are three cards that I find are quite good that are coming in on Card Market as the top selling cards. So I do want to see what Matt has got to say about that. Also, talking about the Surveil lands. I was looking it up on the Twitter feed, and I saw some people playing some game interactions where they were using the Surveil lands to take Archon of Cruelty off the top of their deck and then bring it back to the battlefield from the graveyard. So the Surveil lands, another way to bin stuff. Is that the way it's going to be in Standard? Perhaps it's okay for Standard, but I ran that idea some of the friends of the play group last night, and they said it's not good enough for CEDH. So let's see what Matt has to say here this morning about the top picks. These are the top picks for murders at Karlov Manor here this morning. Let's take a look at this article. Hopefully Brody's not out to lunch with my picks. All right, Sherlock Holmes. Everybody's tuning in at home. If you're sitting at home watching the stream, you're Sherlock Holmes. Cute. All right, Sherlock and Holmes. Matt's talking about it. This one from the stock desk, a great article. Let's shrink Brody down to size so we can get into this one here just a little bit more for you. And introducing Murders at Karloff Manor, Magic's very own. Let's try that again. Excuse me. Murders at Karloff Manor, Magic's very own whodunit adventure and mystery solving experience. This latest Ravnica based set leaves our prolonged presences on the plane feeling worn out, despite a still fresh Ravnica Remastered series. Even amidst the return of familiar characters and the introduction of new faces, everything in the Endless City seems to be suffering from Sherlock fever. Sideshow, sitting on the bathroom floor in a different country, have been drinking all night. I wish I was home right now. Well, I wish I could just give you a hug, okay? I would. We're all we're all there for you. Don't worry. You have friends and family. We're putting out good vibes. Good vibes coming your way. We're sending love, peace, and happiness to you, my friend. So take care. We're here with you. Just relax. It's going to be just fine. Enjoy this article from Matt Grozechnik. It'll make you feel a whole lot better. Get a cup of coffee, even just relax. You're with good company. Okay, your friends are here. Just relax. We're talking about Murders at Karloff Manor, and we're talking about the whodunit adventure. Now, Magic's very own whodunit adventure, immersed in flavor and wholeheartedly embracing its theme. Murders at Karloff Manor introduces 6 mechanics and implements significant structural changes in both product and card opening. Play booster. Talk about play boosters on the Twitter yesterday. We talked about play boosters on the Twitter yesterday. I saw a post from Gavin Very asking about player feedback over the weekend for those who use play boosters, and it was very mixed. So anybody got a chance to try play boosters just yet, I wouldn't mind hearing from you to see how that went. Immersed in flavor, the wholeheartedly embracing its theme, the Karloff Manor set introduces 6 mechanics and implements significant structural changes in both product and card opening. The play boosters have made their debut in the set, fully replacing draft and set boosters. Along with the change, the list has been updated to feature special guest cards curated to align with the theme of the set. Among the highlights are iconic cards Show and Tell and Field of the Dead. Field of the Dead, Show and Tell, 2 cards that were legacy playable, especially the Show and Tell. Victimize, we're also seeing it here. For those of you unfamiliar, Field of the Dead's a land that when it enters the battlefield, you get zombies. If you control, I think it's 7 or more lands with different names. Show and Tell, this is a legacy staple. There's a build around deck, build around card. Good morning, Splendor. How you doing? Each player may put an artifact, creature, or enchantment land from the hand onto the battlefield, and then victimize. I gotta refamiliarize myself with this one. 1 black and 2. Choose target creature card in your graveyard. Sacrifice a creature. If you do, return the chosen cards to the battlefield. Tapped. Okay. So we're talking about Karloff Manor, the flavor, and the 6 new mechanics that have been introduced, and these are quite potentially the top picks for the set. According to Matt Grozechnik. Gut feelings? All right. Well, if you're sitting on the bathroom floor and you might have a little bit of a gut feeling about this one, hopefully you keep that feeling to a dull roar. But the guts are telling us on this one that the current interest in land recursion from graveyards that we are introduced to Undergrowth Recon. The limitation of its upkeep trigger and the lands entering the battlefield tap must be considered, which severely impacts its post-release price. However, drawing parallels to similar effects seen in cards like Conduit of Worlds, Ramanap Excavator, both of which are gradually gaining traction. Undergrowth Recon may have experienced a harsh decline before gradually appreciating value. Good day, everybody. All right, breaking and breathing new life into the arc cycle of lands is Archdruid's Charm, a modular card that mirrors the impact of its predecessor Archmage's Charm, experienced upon release. I think we've looked at these ones a couple of times, but let's just review these. So the Undergrowth Recon, this card, it costs you 2 green. It's an enchant, and it says at the beginning of your upkeep, return target land card from your graveyard to the battlefield tapped. I think I want to play this in a lands deck. So you get like multiple landfalls. I don't think this counts as part of your 1 land per turn. You just get a trigger. Undergrowth Recon. I like this in a lands deck, especially. How about that Strip Mine lock? It's looking even better. And with a Wasteland, perhaps, it's looking even better. Even a Ghost Quarter lock will get you that. So the Undergrowth Recon, I'm happy. This card's $6.60. Holy smokes. And the Arch Druid's Charm, 3 green. Green seems to be very powerful in this set. When you get the choice, you get to search your library for a creature or a land card, reveal it, put it onto the battlefield tap, and if it's a land card, otherwise put it into your hand, okay, and then put a +1/+1 counter on target creature you control. It deals damage and basically fights another target creature you don't. And exile target artifact or enchantment. The Modal Charm coming back. So this one's $6.85, and then connecting the dots. I haven't really investigated this one. Whenever a creature you control attacks, exile the top card of your library face down. Pay 1 red and 1 and discard your hand. Sacrifice connecting the dots and put all cards exiled with connecting the dots into their owner's hand. Discard your hand? Seems okay. All right, Detective Brody moving a little farther on down the stream here this week. Connecting the dots costs you $1.18. Fairly cheap. All right, while the green charm provides an added flexibility, excelling in typical green effects, its price trajectory may mimic that of Archmage's Charm. Despite the initial surge in value, followed by a sharp decline and eventual resurgence years later, Archmage's Charm has struggled to maintain staple status. While it's difficult to speculate on the future of the card, my current impression suggests that Archdruid's Charm will find its niche in an established stable pricing relatively swiftly. Forging a link between Bomat Courier and deep creeping growth in power and cards we encounter, connecting the dots. While this card may not turn any heads initially, its long-term potential may create a compelling speculation. The conditional effect can accumulate over time in a game and then be cashed in when other resources are drained. In a slower formats like EDH, decks often have room for cards that gain more advantage over time, and in a faster environment like standard mono-red, decks already hold significant presence but lack hand replenishment. Connecting the dots could seamlessly fill that gap. Like the cold tile. It's nothing like a cold pillow. You know, sometimes you get too hot when you're sleeping there. You gotta like flip the pillow over. All right, sticky business. I know the feeling. Here, let's stick it to this one here in the stream. Nice to see the slime against humanity coming in on Matt's picks for the top cards from the Murders at Karloff Manor set. This card creates an expanding set of oozes. Defiantly mocking graveyard exiling effects, which means we have numerous comparison points for this kind of effect. I'm going to have a little sip of coffee with folks here this morning. Slime Against Humanity, let's refamiliarize with this one here. In green and 2, for the sorcery that creates a 0/0 ooze creature token with trample, and then you put X+1/1 counters on it where X is 2, plus the total number of cards you own in exile and in your graveyard that are oozes or are named Slime Against Humanity. A deck can have any number of cards named Slime Against Humanity. Oh yeah, this is the one that breaks the singleton rule. Okay, so anybody who wants to ooze in on a commander deck, this ever-expanding oozes, the card works exceptionally well with 1/1 counter interactions and facilitating the doubling of counters or the addition of other keyword abilities. Secondly, its linearly increasing number of creatures growing with each cast of the spell and ensures a steady board expansion over time. Slime Against Humanity is the strongest card. Break the rule. It's pretty nuts. It's the strongest card to break the singleton rule. All right, well, Slime Against the Humanity, some Slime Against Humanity may not secure a strong foothold in many formats. There remains a non-0% chance of it finding some play in Pauper. It's a common, right? Is it common? I believe it's common. So yeah, I could go right into Pauper. We talked about Pauper yesterday. I really did enjoy the Pauper discussion yesterday. It was a fun one. I got a new perspective on Pauper thanks to you folks. Never looked at Pauper. Pauper never looked so good. And Slime Against Humanity can help us build Pauper deck. Now, delving into the practicalities of acquiring 30 copies of those unlimited in-deck cards, let's examine the sticky logistic. Getting domesticated? Is that tomorrow? When does the domestication start? Congratulations are in order. All right, when reviewing prices and graphs across various sites, a pattern begins to emerge. Generally, smaller available quantities from sellers align closely with market prices and pose no immediate concerns. However, opting for larger quantities from a single seller, perhaps to avoid the issues like shipping costs and waiting for multiple packages, results in sharp price increase. Take persistent petitioners, for example. This is the other one that breaks the singleton rule, right? There's Dragon's Approach, there's persistent petitioners, and then now there's the Slime Against Humanity. An excellent example is $1.72 on the market price. It leads to an average of $3 for any seller offering to sell quantities in the 20 plus range. The slime is $4? That's kind of pricey for a common, isn't it? It is common. Oh, it starts soon, Brody. He's got a couple months left. Okay. He's still on parole then. Fetch, tap, surveil. So these are the fetchable lands. I was talking about these yesterday. Now people are using this. Play boosters have less commons, yes. And what I heard was people were discussing about the play booster interactions. They were saying some of the interactions are regarding the play boosters. Were that they had too many. People didn't like, I think, the art card. They would rather the token. Let's just take a look here, back at the stock desk. So this guy here, Gavin Berry. You may have heard of this little-known Magic the Gathering actor, Gavin Berry something. Never heard of him, but no one cares. For everybody who played Play Boosters, I think he's janitor over at Wizards of the Coast. So he was asking this question. Uh, Anybody who played Play Boosters in person at the pre-release last week, what do you think of Play Boosters so far in a gameplay standpoint? Early thoughts and impressions. So we're talking these Play Boosters introduced in Murders at Karloff Manor. Let's look at some of the comments. Felt underwhelming. I'm now paying more for this box than I did set boxes without the chance to pull commander cards and special variants. This guy here, Brody Alphonso's, feels like we're reinventing the wheel. This was my reply. Square wheel. Look at this new invention, the wheel. Have you ever seen anything like it? It's just making one box of magic cards too difficult. I'm sick of Gavin and those influence people being cute. It's just pretentious. Okay, well, how about this one? Mostly felt the same, but the art cards should be replaced with tokens. So, who was asking about that? Less commons and impact in the secondary market? Less commons. All right. And then another positive review was it was fun, had a little whiplash when seeing some of the list cards in the packs, but it was fun to see how they influenced the draft format along with the set itself using Ranger of Eos to tutor and Spectre felt pretty good, not gonna lie. I bought a booster box to support my LD Jets. The list is a dumb take, make it go away. Draft boosters were perfectly fine by themselves. Feels very bland, and so on. So when we're talking about play boosters, that is what the community had large had to say. Mixed reviews regarding the play boost. So the jury is still out. I don't know what the consensus are. Maybe you folks got a chance to use play boosters or have an opinion on them. I'd like to know. So the introduction of Murders at Karloff Manor play boosters, as well as these new fetchable lands. Everybody's going on about the new fetchable lands. You need 30 copies of it. Give me 2 pina coladas and 30 copies of Slime Against Humanity. Gaming Bob, you want play boosters? Gaming Bob wants no part in play boosters. Never mind. What about these new fetchable lands? Introducing a rare land cycle for each representing one of the 10 guilds. The tap surveil lands make their debut in this set. Now, the discussion that I had with cardboard folks last night at the play group was that if you're depending on a land that comes into play tapped in competitive EDH, it's gonna end badly for you. The triomes and the feedback that I heard was the triomes entering tapped are enough of a downside as far as tap lands. You don't want tap lands in Commander. Maybe in Standard. But the tap surveil lands make their debut in this set and serve as nod to Ravnica's shock lands, but in powered down form, having the relevant basic land type attached to them elevates their power compared to many other dual lands. However, the drawback of entering the battlefield tapped levels the playing field. The key consideration revolves around addressing the value of Surveil 1 when played or fetched. Now, a card like Spelunking, another card that allows us to put lands on the battlefield untapped, that fixes it, but you need 2 cards to get these to come into the battlefield untapped. He's going to go from Feral Mutt into Purse Toy and a bow tie in his hair. All right, in my view, according to Matt, the information holds significant value as a resource in decks that have the time to utilize this advantage without sacrificing playing on curve. The tapped ability definitely is a sacrifice to playing on curve. Consequently, the closest comparison for these these lands would be the temple cycle from Theros, the ones that the scry lands. I didn't mind those. Even though they weren't fetchable, having seen play in Standard, the moving gradually into EDH decks, this cycle could have achieved higher price peaks, but multiple reprints have contributed to decline over the years. Taking fetching into account, you're so fetching. all you folks are so fetching here this morning. The Tap Surveil lands are a direct upgrade over the Temple cycle and will likely be reflective of this in increased prices, ranging from $2 to $3 upon release. Unless they become indispensable in Standard or Pioneer, their prices will experience a decline sooner than later. What does Gavin call getting towed up? What does Gavin call getting wasted? Getting towed up? I don't know. Okay, Cluedo. We're talking clues. Clues came back in this set too. So we got the play boosters that are new. Oh, you guys are making me laugh here this morning. The deli's out front and the bar is in the back. Cluedo, Ravnica Clue Edition marks the next collaboration of Magic IP. Venturing into different medium, this collaboration appeals to strike a more favorable tone than previous cross promotions with IHOP and Love Shack, creating tangible cards introduced in the game for eternal formats. Determining the price of these cards poses a challenge due to the limited quantity that may hit the market. Notably, a borderless Shockland is featured as a box topper, and each edition box includes 8 boosters reminiscent of the design seen in Jumpstart. Box topper? This is the first I'm hearing a box topper. Maybe that's for a promo. All right, the design behind the set's rares and uncommons created a unique blend of throwbacks and a familiar mechanics, catering to the appeal of both new and seasoned players. Now, what do we got here? Lavinia, foil to conspiracy, the 2/3 with vigilance. Whenever you cast your second spell each turn, investigate and then tap it to add 2 colorless manias and activate only only during an opponent's turn. What are you going to do with 2 colorless? I guess you can crack some clues with that. Fine, fine, fine. There's a lot happening in the comments today, Brody. I like it. All right, the afterlife insurance. You get yourself some insurance. At instant speed, you can get some insurance that costs you a black, a white, and 1, and then you creatures you control gain afterlife 1 until end of turn and draw a card. When the creature with afterlife dies, create a 1/1 white and black spirit token with flying. Unfortunately, old toe thumbs is the butt of all the jokes. I didn't know that. It's like, did you know Megan Fox has toe thumbs too? Somebody pointed that out to me years ago when the Transformers movie came out. I'm like, what? They're like, look at the thumb. It looks like a kind of like a, it's like this, right? You want to see a magic trick here this morning? Here, this is as good as it gets. Wow. Ronnie's just lucky we can't post pictures here. Okay, fine. Uh, as for I feel like I'm missing the joke, but that's okay. Fill me in. Okay, as far as individual picks, the 2 standouts from randomized cards are Lavinia, Foil to Conspiracy, and Afterlife Insurance. Lavinia serves as another generator card for clues and an effective mana dork for cracking them. Aligning with the main set emphasis on clues and potential future token support, depending on the availability of copies, Lavinia may be a slow growing card over time. Lavinia, $8 already. And as for Afterlife Insurance, this is a cost effective cantrip like spell with a specific purpose that strikes me as a combo piece waiting to happen. While there's a limited chance for it to skyrocket in price, it may be a worthwhile spec for those brave enough to buy in. Denouement. Okay, Tommy Siddons, if you were here, you can help me with the mispronunciation on this one. Denouement? Clue packs. Just like Mystery Booster Convention Edition, Bob, I think they have special clue packs. Ah, I actually support this special clue edition and predict it will ultimately continue to go up in price as a special product. Murders at Karlov Manor previews defied my expectations. From its inception, the set and cards included left me severely disinterested and considered skipping this product entirely. While my overall opinion hasn't undergone a drastic shift, a closer examination of some of the cards included sparked a slight interest. I love the non-biased opinion here, just giving us the straight facts as he sees it. A man who calls balls and strikes here, Mr. Matt Grzechnik, and my anticipation for this set is that it will offer numerous relatively inexpensive cards for speculation and become good entry point for those embarking on their Magic Finance journey, whether it be pauper playable, like Pick Your Poison, or the new cycle of Surveillance. The range of options is quite open. This is the Pick Your Poison. Each opponent sacrifices an artifact, each opponent sacks an enchantment, and each opponent sacks a creature with flying. Pick Your Poison, not a bad card. 1 mana, modal, right? So we'll have to join Matt for some further readings where he shares his thoughts and opinions. And I like this article from the new set. Very well done, Matt. My hat is off to you. Good, sir. Thank you for putting this one together. Matt started playing Magic in and around the release of Dragon's Mage, and since then has tried to experiment with all the formats before discovering his love for EDH and Pauper. He's piloted the same Jund deck for the last 10 years. Now tries to both understand and break Sealed as a format. Don't even care about the Shocklands in the Clue edition. It's fine. Well, you know what that means, folks. If you're laying on the tile floor in the bathroom, somewhere in a foreign country, far, far away, or you're tuning in from the comfort of your own home, maybe you're at work. Perhaps you're tuning in from your bicycle ride to work early in the morning. Maybe you're standing around the water cooler with a couple of friends like George Costanza. Perhaps you're got me dragging from the bumper of the car or on the rear view mirror, maybe next to the coffee pot. Where no matter where you are, I want to thank you folks for tuning in. This is the time where we move and we shake in our seat or on the floor or wherever you are. You can just move and shake with me here, folks. We're going to look at the movers and the shakers for Thursday, February 8th. Today is Thursday. I love Thursdays because I get to talk legacy with you folks here. So let's get the list up. Let's get things moving and grooving here this morning. Put a little bit of jelly on that toast this morning. Maybe get yourself some breakfast. Breakfast is going to sound really good this morning. A piece of toast, maybe some peanut butter, a little bit of bacon. Watch out for that keyboard. All right, the legacy list here, folks. It's nice to see everybody. Forget the ratchets. We'll do it for the toe thumbs. Give this stream 2 toe thumbs up. All right? Give this stream a couple of toe thumbs. And put your toe thumb over the notification bell. Some folks are saying that they're missing the notifications when the stream come on. So you got to take your toe thumb and hit that notification bell. And then you'll be well on your way to tuning in here and you won't miss a thing. All right, grab the beat, grab your feet, and let's get going on this legacy list here this morning with you folks. I got a cup of coffee and we're going to have a good one here. What's the deal of the day? Michael Superbacker wants to know. What's on special, right? Well, on this list here, Michael, it's going to be kind of tough. Let's see here. We got expensive stuff to look at here this morning. Out of all these cards, what do we got? Serendib at $614. That's not a deal of the day. Oh golly. Arabian Nights cards. There's 3 cards from the Arabian Nights set here on the top of the movers and the shakers. That's the first thing that I see. All expensive, $400 to $600. So there's some expensive stuff. We got Mishra's Factory, the Winter Edition, the Kaya-Folio art, and then we've got Lich, Cyclopean Tomb, Gaia's Cradle, City of Traders, Sarah's Sanctum, and Ancient Tomb. Okay, so you wanted the deal of the day, Michael, is going to have to be the Cyclopean Tomb. It's $130. It's on the reserve list, and it's from the unlimited version, and it turns lands into swamps. It's the deal of the day. It's $130. The other one is a Sarah Sanctum. I would say this Seraph Sanctum at $250 is probably another hot card, the hottest one because it's so playable. These other ones here, I'm thinking, are more collectible, but we're gonna have to see. Michael, the deal of the day is clearly some toe thumbs. All right, let's take a look here. Serendib Efreet topping the pile. This is a card that I know Ed, the dual brain, is very familiar with. The card like this, from Arabian Nights. I think it's in the rare slot. Let's take a look. It's a 3/4 flyer. And why is this thing so good? It only costs 3 mana. So for 3 mana, yeah, 3 small mana. 1 blue and 2, you get a 3/4 flyer in the rare slot from Arabian Nights. Look at the Anson Maddox art on. He's coming out of a jar, jarring his way into your life here. The Serendib Efreet at the beginning of your upkeep. Serendib Efreet deals 1 damage to you. Now, there are other versions of it. Let's take a look. Perhaps I'm looking more for this one here. You want to know what the deal of the day is? Michael Superbacker, how about this? Here's the revised edition of the Serendib Efreet. What's going on here? Here's the deal of the day. You like a misprint? Here's one for you. It costs you $4.26. Now, if you're a fan of the Serendib, if you want to play it in a blue deck, this might be the one to get. This is playable in old school because it's from the revised block, and this was a card that made me scratch my head when I first saw it. I loved it when I was a kid because there's a green art on it from the Ithbith Efreet. Serendib is my boy. He's a boy. I talked myself into pre-ordering the Clue edition. Well, maybe let me talk you into it as well here. The Clue edition seems pretty interesting. Here's a deal of the day. This one here, the Serendipity Freak, costs you $4 for this one. This is the misprint with the art from the Ithbith Efreet. You can probably find this fairly cheap online. There's not been a lot of like. Is this one on the reserve list? No. See, it's not on the reserve list. It's seen plenty of printings, and even Serendib, I think, has got more printings than you can shake a stick at. From the vault, Exiled, Masters Edition. Oh, look at the art on the Masters Edition. It's quite nice. Interesting color. Still mentally blind. So perhaps this one is the one. But let's take a look at the money version here, Brody. This one's the $614.61 Serendib Efreet from the Arabian Nights block. I want to take a look at the chart on this with you folks here to see if we can see any patterns. You know, Ed's done a couple of videos over the past little while, and the one I really liked, he said, buy bigger Magic cards. Buy bigger cards. If you want to buy the blue chip stock, the Serendib Efreet is definitely one of them. Any of the cards from the Arabian Nights block are definitely going to be blue chip Magic the Gathering stocks. If the bid. Especially this one, if you can get it. A very collectible and iconic piece. The reason this card is going to be expensive and stay expensive for a very long time is simply because the Arabian Nights block is the rarest of the Magic the Gathering print sets ever. The first expansion, I might add. This card seen a tick up in price. I think with the advent of heading back into paper play and any old school events, this card may see a tick up in price. Look at this last spike on this. Coming back from January 2021, exactly 2 years to the day and the minute. This card saw a tick up in price right around here, around Kaldheim, and perhaps it was a graded copy, or maybe there's some market action using it, maybe some decks using it, but let's see if we got any decks using it. It says no decks found. Okay, so this is the other thing about the Ithbith Efreet. Loved by old school players and people who play old school Magic. And the old school format is not supported here by MTG Goldfish. So it doesn't show up in any deck lists, even though we know where It's printed. Is Arabian Nights less printed than Portal 3 Kingdoms English? That's a good question. It should be. All Arabian Nights are blue chips. However, I'd avoid the penny stocks of those like sandals and stuff like that. They get hit hard. We got a lot of them sandals. Okay, so this card like this makes me want to perhaps just
Buy low, sell high, that's my motto. I may just quit my job at the power plant and become a full-time stock market guy.
another Arabian Nights card. 3 Arabian Nights cards coming in on the list of the movers and the shakers here this morning. The Serendipity at number 1 up 10%, and the Guardian Beast. Okay, disclaimer. I do not have this Serendipity from Arabian Nights. Nope, don't have it. Would like to have it. Would I like to have it? I would, but I'm prioritizing more cards that are on the reserve list, and unfortunately, maybe I've been overlooking this one for some time. So the Serendipity, the Guardian Beast, also a card that I don't have. Would love to have it. Which one? If I could buy one or the other, I would go with the Guardian Beast simply because it's a reserve list. It doesn't mean the Serendipity isn't good, but it's definitely more appealing for myself to pick up the Guardian Beast because it is on the reserve list. So get yourself some reserve list. I don't have Guardian Beast, but I do have a copy of this Old Man of the Sea. Why do I have an Old Man of the Sea? Well, we shall see. Perhaps I like old men better than beasts. All right, the Guardian Beast is an interesting card from Arabian Nights now that we're talking about. He murdered that. Now that we're talking about Arabian Nights cards on the Legacy list, I don't know how often the Serendib is played in Legacy, nor the Guardian Beast. It seems like a card that's probably more playable in old school or even some commander decks, but this card is pretty good. It's a 2/4. It's very hard to read the casting cost, and I think is there 2 versions, an A and a B for this one? No, there is not. So interesting fact, when you look at the mana cost of this card, it costs you 1 black and 3. Very difficult to read the 3 there. There's some other Arabian Nights cards that have a whiter mana symbol for the colorless mana, and it's much easier to read. But this one is a 2/4, and then that is in fact 4 mana, a black and 3. I like the static ability on this card. It's a beast. As long as it's untapped, non-creature artifacts you control can't be enchanted. They have indestructible, and other players can't gain control of them. This effect doesn't remove auras already attached to those artifacts. So it makes your artifacts indestructible. Quite good. If you play like a Shatterstorm and behind this, the Guardian Beast will protect your stuff, and that's a good play. Now, this card was up to about $2,000 at one point, if I'm not mistaken. Let's take the chart back on it. I want to take a little look-see. Another look-see at this chart. Yes. See, this is the deal of the day, Michael. This if you can find one. It's just trying to find one. I remember at Magic 30, Dual Brain showed me. He's like, I picked up this Guardian Beast, and I was like so jealous. I'm like, oh my God, I really want that card. But I did have other things on my mind as far as pickups go. But nevertheless, a great pickup from Magic 30 and memories to go with it, right? You know, one of the mistakes that people make is they don't travel enough to go to events. If you can find your way to a store or a game or a tournament not in your meta or not in your local, you have a better opportunity to find some cards that are more rare and not normally seen. And this is one of them. You may have to get out of your populace in order to find a card like a Guardian Beast just sitting around at a store, because I don't know anybody who's got one at any stores. Quite frankly, this card was as high as, what do we say, 15 to 1700 bucks, not more than a year or two ago. Or it's been trending down in price for quite some time, and now it's settling back at about the $600 or $700 mark. Proxel the Corrosive. Is this the slug? No, this is not the slug. Can't be. Troxel. At the beginning of each end step, put a slime counter. It is the slug. Troxel, the slug. At the beginning of each end step, put a slime counter on each creature you don't control. Creatures you don't control with get a -1/-1 counter with the slime counter. And then whenever a creature you don't control with a slime counter on it dies, you get a 1/1 black slug. Eat slugs. This is definitely the Ron Weasley card of Commander. Actually, one of the folks in the play group was playing the slug yesterday, and some people just hate it because it just wrecks creature decks. So the slug, quite good in Commander, and the Guardian Beast slots into this one. Why do we want indestructible on our artifacts? What artifacts are we protecting? Spells, artifacts. Oh, we're protecting. Oh, because you put the skull clamp on the slugs. And then you get to draw all the cards. Of course, that makes perfect sense. Arcade Signet, Contagion Class, Genesis Chamber, Lightning Greaves, and all these other artifact goodies are things that the beast can protect. So this card is pretty good. I like it. I'd say I'd love to pick one of these up at some point. It's just been so hard to find and to actually pull the trigger on that card. I'm glad I waited it out because it was quite expensive. Is there any copies for sale at the vendors? Sold out at the vendors, so there aren't any copies. It's one person buy it from you and sell it somewhere else. I am with you on this one, Bob. The first Magic 30 convention was epic. Memories to last a lifetime. I'm with you on this one. All right, what else we got here? Old Man of the Sea. This is a funny card. So funny. Like, we look at the art, again, another Arabian Nights card. We look at the art on it. This guy's got a triangle choke and a whipping stick on. It's got a switch, and he's whipping this guy. The Old Man of the Sea, it's, what is he, a 2/3? Yeah, he's a 2/3. It's also a Djinn, which is kind of funny. The original creature type for this said Merid, which I'll have to look up what a Merid is, but it's been errated to be a Djinn. So you may choose not to untap the Old Man of the Sea during your untap step, and you tap him to gain control of target creature with power less than Old Man of the Sea's power for as long as Old Man of the Sea's power as long as Old Man of the Sea remains tapped, then you control that creature. As long as he can triangle choke whatever it is he's trying to take control of. Djinn Mustard. The Old Man of the Sea, he must be heard. You have one of these. Picked it up at a game store a couple of years ago. It was in the showcase, and I thought, well, it's now or never. I've never seen another one for sale. That's the extent of your jokes this morning. No sweat. Look at the Old Man of the Sea. Now, fact is, instant fact, this is a card that I think Rudy is very fond of and has several copies of. Old Man of the Sea and an Arabian Nights rare? Yes, it is. Let's just put some lines on charts and accept no cheesy substitutes when it comes to folks putting lines on Magic the Gathering charts. This one here definitely took a tick up in price to around the $600 mark, and it's just sort of been hitting. Like, would this be a blue chip stock brain? I would think so. I want to think this is a blue chip card. Seems playable. Any decks using it? Rubinia the Soul Slinger and Activia the Living Thesis. 2 commander decks. I'm thinking these are decks that take control of stuff. I'm not familiar with Rubinia off the top of my head, but we're going to take a look at Rubinia here for you. What's Rubinia doing? You may choose not to tap her during your upkeep. Gain control of target creature for as long as she remains tapped. Okay, so she's like a Mariki Ribera. Same sort of a thing. Take your stuff. Steal your commander. I'll cherish my soul Arabian Nights card, a copy of Desert Nomads, and be happy with that. I like it. Desert Nomads. Christopher Rush art on that, I believe. And here's the Mishra's Factory. Why is it? This is the most popular one. Now, why is it the most popular one? I don't know. There's 3 versions of it. Perhaps people just like the winter art on it, Kaya Folio art and Phil Folio art. So, as you may know, 2 of my favorite artists. I thought this card would get a little bit better with the Brothers War because we got another factory that makes assembly workers bigger. It's the is it the Urza's factory? Yes, the Urza's factory. Created 2-2. No, that's not the one I'm thinking of. There's another factory that came out in the Brothers War, and it does stuff with Bro had Mishra's Foundry. Mishra's Foundry, that's the one. Let's take a look. I thought we would make Mishra's. I thought we would be able to make like a Foundry deck. Mishra's Foundry. Factory, Foundry, Foundry. The Bros War. This is the one. I thought there would be a like. I thought there would be like a Foundry deck. Mishra's Foundry becomes a 2-2 assembly worker. Creature until end of turn is still a land, and then 1 and tap it. Targeted assembly worker gets +2/+2. So I thought we would get like a Foundry deck to go with this. Is there been one yet? No. It's just another assembly worker deck, but you could pay like 8 Foundries, right? You can play the Mishra's Factories and the Foundries together, and then you can have like 8 of these little man lands. This one gives target assembly worker +1/+1 until end of turn. And then this one gives target attacking assembly worker +2/+2. Interesting thing I like about the factory is that you can make it an assembly worker block and then tap it to give itself +1/+1 in response. So you can actually make it a 3/3 on blocking before damage is dealt. You can tap it to give itself +1/+1 and give it a little bit more power and a little more toughness. So let's take a look at the most popular of the winter factory here. This one seems quite this actually seems like a deal right now. If you want to talk about deals of the day, how much is it? $250. Vendor shops got them for about $200. Why was this thing as high as $800 in 2018? Right here, and then it drifted down into a Korea to where it is now. And this thing seems like it's got some volatility behind it. Maybe it's collectors like the Foundry. And now it was as high as $1,000 in and around Chaldime, and now it's settling back to the $250 mark. Quite interesting. How many ups and downs is this thing going to be able to take? Where are we going to find resistance for this? Well, I think it's established now that we're looking at this chart. The resistance line for this card is probably right around the $200 mark. It's seriously hit the lower resistance. I can't see this thing going anywhere or lower than $200. A good copy of Snow Factory is about $250. That's not awful. Yeah. So right now this is actually quite a deal for the good factory. For the winter factory. What else we got here? Unlimited Lich. This card's actually funny. It's not very playable. I mean, there's a lot of ways you could try and make this thing work, but there's Lich's Mastery and there's a few other enchantments that come out later that do sort of the same effect. And this one is kind of expensive to play if you're playing any other things than mono black. It's 4 black pips. One thing I do like about the art, especially on this unlimited one, look at the mana symbols on this. Look at the black pips. And like even on the version that I have, I find this quite interesting. Look at the bleeding on the pips, on the mana symbols here. Like this is these upward gray lines, and it's actually part of the card. It's part of the print. So I don't know if I think they're all like that. Like that was like sort of how they came out of the printer, every single one. So it's kind of a neat card. It's also got the older mana symbol before they changed it, like the Chris Rush designed mana symbols. And then Magic designers updated the mana symbols to make them look a little bit more like this, more skelly. But this has got the original skull mana symbols with the flat bottom teeth on it, and then the bleeding on it. This is totally normal if you see this card, and it makes them look kind of spooky and an interesting bit of nostalgia attached to these old unlimited cards that have some just perfect imperfections, let's say. So let's see. Lich enters the battlefield. You lose life equal to your life total. You don't lose a game for having 0 or less life. If you would gain life, draw that many cards instead. Whenever you're dealt damage, sacrifice that many non-token permanents. If Lich is put into the graveyard from the battlefield, you lose the game. Never notice the bleeding. Wow, something new learned here every day. Yes, the bleeding. Let's stop the bleeding, right? Let's stop the bleeding in this economy. Let's stop the bleeding everywhere. What up, Hot Dice? Nice to see you. What up? What up, my brother? I'm Hot Dice. What up, peeps? Nice to see you. We're talking about Lich, and we're talking about the bleeding mana symbols. Let's look at the chart on this one. Okay. What do we got? How much is this one? Sitting at around 200 bucks. Okay, fine. Now, reserve list? Perhaps. Yes. Playable? Perhaps not. We nozzling liches this AM. We're nozzling. That's right. So Lich is coming in today at around 200 bucks. It's a reserve list card. I'd say it's not playable. There is a far and away chance that this card could be playable at some time. I figured that it is possible, like with a card like Lich's Mastery. There's another couple of cards that make me think, like Phyrexian Unlife, that lets you take damage in the way of poison counters instead. Now, I think you can still lose to Infect, even if you can't lose to 0 or less life. This thing is stabilized now around 200 bucks. Unless there's another way to make this playable and work in a mono black devotion deck. I got 99 playable cards, but a Lich ain't one. Oh, snap. That's Dustin. Nice to see you here. I love it. Let's get this. Oh. I got 99 playable cards and a Lich ain't one. I don't want to play this sucker. No way. I don't think it's playable. It's going to be a long snowball's chance in hell to get this one to work for us, right? What are we going to do? Play it in mono black devotion? You can't play any other colors with it because it's going to be so darn to cap. Hope everyone has a good day. I need to get my backpack up. Get your backpack up. What's playing it? Commander's actually playing it? Selenia the Dark Angel? Phage the Untouchable? No way. Selenia? She's a commander. Oh, wow. This was one of my picks on the Brody's bottom 10. I like this card. It blinks itself. 3/3 flying. Dark Angel counts as an angel. Play 2 life to return it to owner's hand. Pretty decent card. Not bad. It's also reserve list. But I'm looking for the Lich. Is it in fact in here? I guess some fringe decks are using it. Not this one. Got 99 cards. And a Lich ain't one of them. So Cyclopean Tomb. Here's the card that I was saying. Michael's like, what's the deal of the day, Brody? It's a combo with life swapping cards. Ah, that's what they're doing with it. What, like Mirror Universe, perhaps? Mirror Universe. The combo with life swapping cards. Cyclopean Tomb. 4 mana reserveless artifact. Printed in Unlimited, and that's the last version of it. I like this card. I think it's kind of neat. It's got some spooky art on it. Like there's actually like a mummy inside this eyeball. I guess the eyeball is the tomb. 4 mana, so it's a little bit expensive. I don't know where we're playing this, but if you ever wanted to screw over your opponent's mana bases. This would be one way to do it. That and the Thelonite Monk, turning your opponent's lands into forests. This was something that was introduced in the early game of Magic the Gathering, where you could actually change the land types permanently. There's one other card that I know of that does it, and that's Thelonite Monk, and it turns things into forest. You put a Mire counter on target non-swamp land. That land is a swamp for as long as the Mire counter is on it. Activate this only during your upkeep. When Cyclopean Tome is put into the graveyard from the battlefield at the beginning of each of your upkeeps. For the rest of the game, remove all Mire counters from the land that Mire counter was put on with Cyclopean Tomb, but that Mire counter has not been removed from with Cyclopean. I thought the wording on it's so dumb. Okay, when it's put into the graveyard from the battlefield at the beginning of each of your upkeeps for the rest of the game, remove all Mire counters from a land that a Mire counter was put on. Okay, so you can put more than one on there. And then you get upkeep triggers for the rest of the game, and you start taking the Mire counters off one at a time. Interesting. $100 for this card. If you ever wanted to turn your opponent's good stuff into swamps. Any decks using it? No. Let's look at the chart on it. It's a $100 card. It's on the reserve list. You're only going to find it unlimited, but like the thing is, it's like it's not playable. But if you're collecting reserve list cards, you're going to need one. So now it's about $100. Is this card going to see some price action? Probably not. Is it fringe? Yes, it is. I guess you could play it in a zombie deck where you're giving your zombie Swamp Walk, but there's way better ways to do it now. There's things like Urborg, Tomb of Yawgmoth, that makes all lands a swamp easily. So perhaps the Cyclopean Tomb, not such a playable card. It's just collectible and it's cheap enough that you can pick it up for about $130 right now. Gaia's Cradle. Here's the cradle. Rock the cradle of love. Yes, it's the cradle of love. It don't rock easy. This is oh, did you know there's a butt crack on this card? Anybody? Anybody? There is a bum. Fairy butt crack. Right here. Yeah, there's a butt crack on this card. Hate to say it. I didn't see it. Somebody pointed it out to me. They're like, hey, there's a butt crack on this card. There's a butt crack on your card, Brody. Gaia's Cradle. If you don't want to spend $1,000, you can get one in gold border. If you need a playable copy, this gold borders will do. I really don't mind the gold border cards. They actually look kind of good. There's the gold border for. So there's cheaper versions of the Gaia's Cradle if you just need a playable copy. Mostly going to be played in EDH decks like Edric, where you're going to be able to get all kinds of Manias off this for a bunch of 1/1s. Having more creatures, the better. This one taps for a green. Taps for a green for each creature you control. So you get lots of mana off this thing. Almost too much. Played in Legacy, Cradle Control. What's Cradle Control? Golgari Cradle Control. So we've got, oh yeah, the Dryad Arbor. Here's a card we looked at yesterday. The Allosaurus Shepherd. The one that cost almost $150 from Jumpstart and is now down to 20. Card probably not a bad idea to pick one up. If you've got a use for it, it's played in this deck here. And I like the fact that some of these cards that are playable amongst multiple formats, perhaps the Allosaurus Shepherd, like it's probably good in Commander Elves, is probably good in Modern Elves. Is it Modern legal? Let's just double check that before I. Not legal in Modern. So Legacy, Vintage, Commander, not Brawl. Historic Brawl. I don't know anybody who's playing Brawl. I tried it, couldn't get it to go. Shepherd is playable in every green commander deck. Makes your stuff uncounterable. For the $20, now is the time to get it. I really wanted the card when it first came out. It was like 150, and I'm like, no, I can't see it. It seems fringe for a card to be that expensive. Gaia's Cradle. Here's an insane land. Robert O'Brien. How are you, mister? Nice to see you here this morning, Robert. Our man Garen Jotter did really well. It took down a standard event the other day. Collector Invest. Are you in a vest this morning, Collector Invest? Nice to see you have you with us. Robert O'Brien. I understand Gary took down a standard RCQ. The guy's been winning a lot of Magic. I think he was playing Toxic in Standard. Toxic's very good in Standard right now. It was either Toxic or can't remember what other deck he said he was on, but congrats to him. Did you get to fight him at the event perhaps? Bant Toxic, that's what he's on. Thank you, Robert. It's funny, hey, Bant Toxic of all color combinations playing poison is Bant blue and green. Doesn't seem right, does it? Bant Toxic seems kind of funny. I know. Oh well. Bant Toxic. All right, so the Graia's Cradle hitting the movers and the shakers list here this morning. That Rot Priest, very good. Can you pull up the deck list for that Toxic deck? Yeah. Let's see what's in it. Is it the Rot Priest? Venerated Rot Priest? Venerated Rot Priest. Standard. Standard. Bant Poison? This one here. This the one you're talking about, Benson? If it's convenient, of course. That's what I'm here for. I'm here for your entertainment purposes. Nothing more. Crawling Chorus. Oh, look at the creepy multi-headed triangle dude. Is this Sideshow on acid crawling upon the floor in the bathroom? No, I can't wonder what it is. That's it. I made a Sultai Assassin Tribal Commander deck. Nice. His deck is listed on MTG Top 8. Is it? Well, let's go there. Let's go there. Standard. 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 All right. Where is it? Bant Toxic. Let's take a look at my buddy's deck. Where is it? Bant Toxic. Where do I go from here? I can't believe they made Rot Priest as it is, and then that card was spoiled. His deck is listed on top 8. Well, now I'm going to have to find it. Control. Other combo. Bant Aggro. Is this the Silver Mage League? Bant Toxic. Oh, Gary Hickman. He calls his deck Britney Spears. That's hilarious. See, this is the kind of friends I have. The funniest. This is hilarious. So look at this. Here's my buddy Gary. And he's like, takes down this OCG series RCQ. And like the deck type is Bant Toxic, except he calls it Britney Spears. Nicely done. OCG and Kelowna. I'm gonna have to ask him, have you seen Britney Spears lately? Very nice. All right. Oh, he's been putting up wins here. Britney Spears, Cascade Benzoc, The Little Guys with Big Attitude, and MC Hammer 2. Okay, let's take a look at Britney here this morning. I'm digressing, but this is his deck list. So check it out. Oh, yeah, he's got the triangle head card there, the Might, the Rot Priest, the Jawbone Duelist, the Annex Sentry, Fading Hope. I'm going to have to ask him why he calls this Britney Spears. Is it like Hit Me Baby One More Time? Is that why? Oh, that's funny. Cadena's Slinking Sorcerer. That's hilarious. You made my day. That's funny. So Gary's he's putting up points on MTG Top 8. Very nicely done. Insidia Traders. Here's a card that's cost you $395. It's kind of expensive. Is this going for another bump and run? I think so. Take a look at this, the bump and the run. So this thing takes a bump up in price and then it runs down a little softly. And it takes a bump up in price and then it runs down and then it takes another bump up in price and runs down. And now we're like on the next bump, it's probably going to run down to about 300, maybe 300 even. And then because this is on the reserve list, it's not going anywhere. It's probably going to keep going. Oh, yeah, because it's toxic. Okay, yeah, she does. I don't have the album. I don't. I guess it is. It is a song by Britney. Thank you, Gaming Bob. That's so funny. Golly, I'm gonna have to text him when we get done the stream here. I was like, I'm cripping your stuff on MTG Top 8, Mr. Spears. Mr. and Mrs. Spears. I can't. I got that song in my head. Oh no, it's in my head. Now we gotta get some new music here for the show. All right, so the City of Traders, Sarah Sanctum. Here's one. Here's where Brody screwed up. I bought the Ancient Tomb instead of the City of Traders. I think it's very interesting to see the two of them together on the movers and the shakers list. About 3-4 years ago, I want to say, it was like, let's buy one or the other. I went with the Ancient Tomb because Eldrazi was really, really powerful in Modern, and I needed the colorless mana sources. And Eldrazi, like Reality Smasher, Thought Knot Seer, about 4 years ago, I think 5 years ago, Eldrazi was pretty hot. So the Ancient Tomb seemed like a better fit for me because I could play it in Modern and I could also play it in Legacy. I stayed away from the City of Traders because of that reason. Now, looking back on this, it's definitely a mistake that I made because the City of Traders on the reserve list is outpaced it by far. Do you know that it's Moxig? Ancient Tomb not legal in Modern. Was it ever? Never. Never have I ever. So what are we playing the Thought Knot Seer off? Maybe that's in Legacy then. Interesting. I mean, I can't say that it has been terrible. I stand corrected. Classic Brody showing up with old Legacy card in Modern. Yes, that is definitely. Hey, I did that with Flusterstorm, and eventually it became Modern legal. I'm just ahead of the curve. Would it be too much to expect that Ancient Tomb would be Modern legal at some point? It doesn't seem too bad to be busted. Look at this. It's going to go higher. But there was a point in time right around here, where these two cards were almost around the same price. So, the Ancient Tomb and the City of Traders roughly around. You play it off Eldrazi Temple. Thank you. Well, I got sick of getting beat up by Gary with all these Eldrazi's. It would be busted in half in Modern. You can't do it. It's fine. Make Ancient Tomb great again. Hey, Dex playing it? What are we playing? Where are we playing this? Jewel Shops and Vintage. Vintage Legacy. Oh, fine. Quick mana. You want quick mana? That's the way to do it. Sold out in the stores. Hey, Ancient Tomb. Taps for 2 mana and then gives you 2 damage. Hurts you. It hurts so good. Chalice on 1 in Modern turn 1. Yeah, that... okay, fine. That's why. Dustin says we'll never have it because we can't have turn 1 Chalice on 1. No way. Busted. There's got to be other ways to do it. I mean, they banned the monkey. So I guess Chalice on 1 is out. Sad. And the Sarah Sanctum. This card's so good, especially in an enchantment deck. Tap it out of white for each enchantment you control. Pretty decent card, I'd say. It's a rare slot. This was also in the reserve list. So, I mean, as far as lands go from the Saga block, this is about as good as it gets. It's right up there with the Gaia's Cradle, and I don't know why the price is isn't isn't any higher. It's $250, so maybe the enchantment deck doesn't see as much support as the creature deck. You still got that song going in your head here, right? The Britney has a song called Toxic. Yes, she does. In production, the Winding Constrictor in Modern when it came out the first time. All good, cardboard. So look at the drifting down in this Sarah's Sanctum. It was higher. It was quite high. This is a card that I picked up in a collection buy years ago, and it hasn't really done too much. Let's see. Hit around $200, right around Dominaria, and then it drifted down to about 150. Then Zendikar Rising, it took a poke up around Kaldheim to $400, and now it's just like drifting slowly in and around that $250 mark. So not a terrible card. What decks are using it? As far as lands go, this is like the Gaia's Cradle of lands for enchantment. A card. Ooh, very nice. Speculation. Tom Bombadil. He's the Bombadil. Legacy Leylines plays it. Yes. And Markle the Bones. Why wouldn't Leylines play it, right? Legacy Leylines, you just start with a bunch of enchantments on the battlefield and then play that on turn one, and then all of a sudden you're like online with triple white. That seems really good. Commander Iisha. Did that new Leyline break the format yet? I don't know. A lot of people are playing it. It should be legendary, I think, but it's not. A lot of people are saying that what's the new Leyline called? It's Leyline, the one that fixes all your manas. Oh, that's the time of the hour, folks. Alarm clock's going off. It's the work. I gotta get moving and grooving here this morning. 4-color Leyline. Perhaps that'll make this even better, this Terra Sanctum. I hope it does. Well, thank you, beautiful and amazing people, wherever you're tuning in from. Perhaps tuning in from around the world. Give the stream 2 toes up. And if you can't give it 2 toes up, give it a couple of thumbs up. Hit that notification button. Cops are at the door. I think I hear the Pinkertons pulling up here. We're getting too much done here. We're talking shop. We're talking magic cards. We're talking prices. Brody's making mistakes on cards he wants to play in Modern that aren't legal. Thank goodness Dustin came by to slap some sense into me. Oh, Brody, stop it. Never punish. All right. It's been a good one. It's Thursday. Wherever you are, may the sun be on your face and the wind at your back. I appreciate you. Grab yourself a cup of coffee. Take care of one another and have fun out there. One more day to go before Friday, and then it's the weekend. Gonna make a move here this morning. Got stuff to do. Got places to be. People to share with. And Ron Burgundy's going to take us out with a little bit of Yaz Flute. Game over, man.